If the heat is scaring you off, don't worry. There's like 100 meters of water that you're going to be crossing over a floating bridge, which is quite the experience. It's accessible. You go past these beautiful wine farms around Paarl Mountain. You can meet up with your crew and be supported. The views in Paarl Mountain with the big granite domes is just something out of this world. It really is a spectacular setting. It's not remote, and of course it's very runnable. We have nicely stocked aid stations with lots of water and lots of ice, which is important because it can get hot out here. I think that's what makes this race special, is you can really come out here and run it. It can be the fastest 100K in the country. I've developed an intense relationship with Paarl Mountain. Paarl Mountain is a very special place and very close to my heart. Whenever I run in Paarl Mountain, when I finish, obviously you're feeling tired, but it feels like you've been fed by the environment.
Mias, welcome to the Trail Chasers. We've got a week till the event. Tell me something, the Rock Ultra, when I say that, what kind of comes to mind for you?
How's it, Dean? It's very nice to be your guest today, and I feel honored to be here. The Rock Ultra, what comes to me is Paarl Mountain. I've developed what's the right word? Intense relationship with Paarl Mountain. We refer to it as our backyard. It's like our week playground. And obviously on the other side of the valley, we've got the beautiful Drakensberg mountain range, Groot Drakensberg, and all those big mountains. But Paarl Mountain is a very special place and very close to my heart.
Going a bit back there, I mean, who is Mias? What is your kind of background? And why do you love Paarl so much?
Dean, I moved here in 2013 permanently. And at that point, I was a professional paraglider, teaching people how to fly and also taking people on paragliding tandem experiences. So, and I've been doing that for the most of the last 20 years. So I love the mountains and being out in nature and adventure. It's like my DNA. And I'd say around COVID time, I went through a few personal challenges as one does. And because paragliding was already like my professional, the way I made a living, I was looking for something to just go out and have fun in the mountains again, like I used to before I became a professional paraglider. And I joined the Rock Runners, a little trail community out here in Paarl, and we started running in Paarl Mountain, and the relationship started off from there.
The Rock Ultra, obviously last year was your first year. What is the kind of background to the event? How did it get started?
I got off to a flying start in ultra trail running. My first ultra trail race was Artis Loop in 2022. And I did like 2 or 3 ultras that year, in the second part of that year, including the Cederberg Traverse. I did the Otter, which is not really an ultra, but I really fell in love with it and went all out. And then in November that year, my friend Conrad Miller, whom I also met through the trail running scene, you might also know Conrad, he said, what about 100Ks in Paarl Mountain as a social run, Mias? And, you know, I'm the kind of crazy friend that's like, oh, why not? And as the date drew nearer, and I had quite a horrible Cederberg 100K, although I finished, it was so tough. And our planned run in Paarl Mountain was less than a month later. And I was like, oh, I don't know if this is a good idea. Why are we doing it? It's so far. It's not even a race. But we pulled through. We had some of our Rock Runners friends support us along the way. And we ran 100Ks on Paarl Mountain. And it was such a special experience for me especially, that I told Conrad, we got to share this, man. This is really special. It's unique in terms of what we have around the Western Cape and even South Africa.
You know, further expand on that, you know, what was it during that 100K run, other than, I guess, the hallucinations and the crazy ideas, but like, what was it about, you know, the route that you were running and the area that you were like, this is done deal, we have to make this a race?
I've never hallucinated on a run before. I still have to push that boundaries just for the record. It was first of all the accessibility of it. You never feel like you're in the middle of nowhere, which is the appeal for some people. But it can also, I think, be a bit of a deterrent for a lot of people. So it's accessible. You go past these beautiful wine farms around Paarl Mountain, where you can meet up with your crew and be supported. The views in Paarl Mountain with the big granite domes is just something out of this world. If you haven't experienced it in person before, you wouldn't know what I'm talking about, Dean. I can't wait to show you next weekend. It really is, yeah, it's a spectacular setting. It's not remote, it's accessible, and of course, it's very runnable. I'd like to refer to it as almost a bit of a gravel race. It's not full-on trail running, although there are sections that are full-on trail running. But I'd say at least 70% of it is very runnable, gravel kind of stuff, without feeling like you're on a road, because you are in the mountains. It's some of those Jeep tracks are literally 100 years old. So it's like wagon trails more than it is Jeep tracks.
And then take me on the journey, I guess, from you complete that 100K and then, how did the event kind of come together after that?
Well, Conrad and I were bouncing ideas off each other, and I was chatting to the trail running community, my friends in the rock runners, and I kind of felt that November was a beautiful time of the year for it. The flowers are still around. It's not getting too hot yet. I consulted some of my other friends. I'm originally from Mpumalanga, and one of my very, very good friends is Frikkie Pienaar, who organizes the Mac Ultra along with Elof. I chatted to them. They introduced me to some people who gave me a lot of good advice. Sean and Sheena gave some advice. So a lot of consultation took place. We found a date that there was no other major event happening in the last part of the year, which was a bit of a challenge. But we decided on the first weekend in December, and then started chatting to all the landowners, and the municipality. All the role players started to get their inputs. And before we knew it, we were like, time to rock and roll. I actually also started working with on-site events who do the Run the Vines series. Most trail runners will know about Run the Vines. I mean, everybody kind of starts their trail running journey at the Run the Vines monthly events. And I learned a lot from Lance and the on-site crew about how events operate. They do it a couple of events every month. So I learned a lot there. And then we started putting all the pieces together. I've since that first event last year, December, done 100-miler. I did the Mac Miler. And I must tell you, it's a lot more work and a lot more difficult to organize an event than to run a 100-miler. In my opinion.
Yeah. Wait until you add 100-miler to your event, and then you'll really see.
The team's got to grow. The team's got to grow. That's not going to happen too soon, unfortunately. But we're looking. It's a journey, and we do have a long-term vision, and we hope for it to develop and add to it as it grows.
Yeah. So obviously the idea was, to put on this 100K, but what it kind of evolved around that, in terms of the actual event and sort of the distances and, the features of the event.
Look, if you want to do 100Ks on and around Paarl Mountain, you need to be smart about it. We decided that we didn't want to do any loops. We don't want people to run the same loop. We didn't want to go for the backyard ultra kind of vibe. Yeah, we wanted to showcase the best of Paarl. That includes the features on Paarl Mountain and the vineyards around the mountain, and that was our starting point. And we wanted to do a shorter distance, but we also didn't want to do. There's so many events that are doing this 5 to 20K race scene, so we didn't want to disturb that. We wanted to do a proper ultra in this Winelands area, like our friends at Pass to Pass does at the beginning of the year. And that was our starting point. We also wanted to make sure that it's a community thing, that there's more benefit to it than just the runners having a lot of fun and it hopefully being a profitable business one day. So we contacted Anna Foundation and asked them how they wanted to be involved. We made it clear that, it's not just about money. We wanted their facilitators and pupils to be involved in the event and to have the experience of how to put it all together, and also obviously participating in the event. And that was sort of our pillars that we started developing the routes from. There's so many options from where we could start the race from, and we hope to move that around as the event develops, to keep it interesting. And then the main features on the mountain, there's several camps on Paarl Mountain, and these are now picnic sites, but they literally used to be camps where the locals used to pull up their ox wagons up to and go and camp there for Christmas. Yeah, the Christmas camp. very famous spot. There's some South Afrikaans songs that sing about Outcrop and having picnic at Outcrop. So we visit all these historical sites, and then the big granite boulders. I think, if I'm not mistaken, they're the second biggest granite outcrop in the world. Don't know how they measure these things, but it's enormous. Yeah, it's massive. And you don't get half the idea of what it looks like until you get up there onto the mountain. And our first step was also to organize a whole bunch of recce runs in 2024 as we built up to the first event, just to make sure that we were doing things right and get some feedback from people who know about running and love running. And it was overwhelming. We had Gonzo crews out here. We had lots of the Wellington runners, and every single person came back and saying like, wow, their expectations were completely blown away. They didn't know that this was what Paarl Mountain is about. They didn't know that all of this space were up here on the mountain. So it all came together quite nicely. I think a fair bit of luck was also involved in bringing the right people together and developing the routes to make it work out from a safety and a sensible way. It's been an exciting and learning journey, but we're really enjoying it.
Yeah. And as you kind of mentioned, you do have to go through kind of some farms and sort of like more private areas. So what has the response been from like the community? Was it an immediate yes, or has it been a bit of a journey?
There's always some stories, Dean. There's always some stories. Initially it was quite tough. And then we got Paarl Trails on board. Paarl Trails has developed a beautiful mountain bike network around Paarl Mountain, on the private properties around Paarl Mountain. And Paarl Trails bought into the first edition of the Rock Ultra. Since then, unfortunately, Paarl Trails have decided that they prefer not to engage with the Rock Ultra, which was a massive, unexpected challenge for us, because now we had to go and find, and that's why this year is it's a very new event compared to last year. We're at a new venue, new routes. We're visiting farms that we haven't visited before. In particular, Ruiters Play, which is a dirt bike venue. They have close to 40 kilometers of mountain and flatland trails that's never really been run before. And our first recce run, of course, this year was at Ruiters Play. Because these trails are used by dirt bikes, they're very different. They're very old, and the trails must be like 10 years old. So they're well established, but they have some quirks about them because they specifically developed for dirt bikes. So we took a whole lot of trail runners out there in October, including Mr. O himself. Ashraf came out with his crew. And I was so nervous because we're taking these guys, their first time they're coming to run with us out in Paarl, and we're taking them to these wild trails. Like some of those climbs are like this. And I was expecting quite a bit of backlash from, Mr. O and his semi-road running crew. But Ashraf came back from his run. I think he did the 16K run, and it's a tough 16K with a lot of elevation in it. And he came back and he's like, Nias, that was so nice. I was reminded how much I love it running in the trails. Just positive feedback. So that confirmed that we were on the right track. We're excited to get some ultra runners feedback next weekend when they do these crazy trails.
So, is it now with the new trails, is this kind of a bit more of a permanent partnership and permanent, or are you hoping to kind of change it up every year?
We're still developing. We're definitely not going to set anything in cement until we've tried all the different formulas and come up with something that we feel is really the best that the area has to offer. Definitely not. We're not closing the door on any new developments yet. We can't. I mean, if we want to do a miler one day, we're definitely going to have to still explore the area. It's exciting because not only it's a lot of work for us, I must be honest. After last year's event, we got together the All Mountain crew and everyone that helped us organize the event. We decided that we're not going to change anything because it worked so well. And it wasn't even 3 months later, and we were like, "Oh my God, it's going to be a whole new event." It's challenging to try new things, but I think it's necessary still because it's still in its infancy. So we're definitely going to be changing it up and discovering what this area has to offer for us, and specifically Paarl Mountain and surrounds.
And what were some of the highlights last year, and I guess also some of the challenges?
Oh my words! Highlights. On the 100K route, I mean, we had Indy and Ludelia smash that course. Indy, Pagoda, and Ludelia, Kombrink. Indy's not really a trail runner. He's like a TIE fighter, but he smashed the course in just over 12 hours. Ludelia, who's been on a winning streak and crushing trails all over South Africa, won the ladies' race in just 15 minutes after Indy came in, I think like 12 and a half hours. That was quite nice to see the potential of running fast on trails. And I think that's what makes this race special is you can really come out here and run it. It can be the fastest 100K in the country, no doubt. But the real highlights were in the rest of the field. I'm not going to mention too many names, but we had a young gentleman who'd lost a partner less than 3 months before, or 6 months, something like that. And he came to, the Rock Ultra was something for him to focus on while he was dealing with a lot of grief. To meet him and hear his story was really cool. And I've also done an interview with Bruce and Debbie, so I don't mind mentioning their names. Bruce is into his 60s, born with one lung, and
Wow.
told from a young age that he wouldn't have a very exciting life and this and that and all these doom stories. And he went on he's still running ultras in his 60s. And they finished the 100K race in 26 hours. We made the executive call to extend the cutoff time with an hour so that they could finish their journey.
Sure.
And that was quite spectacular. Lots of stories that came from sweepers and aid station people about how positive they were, and they were just keeping going despite all the challenges. So those were some of the highlights. Everything went so well. We had so much positive feedback. Of course, there's always the challenges. I don't think we had anybody really get lost. Ludelia ran past one arrow because there was a car parked in front of it, and I only realized she was on the wrong track when she was already a few Ks down the road. But yeah, the team just operated so well. We were so well prepared that last year's event didn't really have too many bad things. It was so many positive things. I think obviously there's a lot of perks and things like our goodie bags. We don't have massive goodie bags and giveaway things. We're really focusing on getting the core things right, the trails and everything that really matters about the run before we get to the goodie bags and stuff like that. We have upped that this year. We had some cool prizes and sponsors from people like First Ascent again. Endurance giving us a whole lot of cool product to give away. We have Soul Inc. made us some cool race socks that we were going to be giving away. And then, of course, our apparel, the Rock Ultra shirts, long sleeve shirts and short sleeve shirts this year, they've become quite iconic here in our running community. They're pretty cool.
What sort of things can people look forward to next weekend? If people are still, I guess, on the fence, what are you saying that's pushing them off that fence?
Well, there's two things that really makes this a special run. First of all, the Rock Ultra is designed, and we always have in mind that it is for novices. We have well-marked routes. It's not too technical, although it's not easy either. I'm not saying it's easy. Don't come to me after the race and say, that was so hard. It's hard, but it's accessible. It's safe. We have aid stations, nicely well-stocked aid stations with lots of water and lots of ice, which is important because it can get hot out here. So for someone that's been running 5 and 10 Ks and maybe did an event 15 Ks, I think this is a great race to come out and do a first 22 half marathon in the mountain. The 44 is a fantastic route. It's reasonably fast. It's got some challenging stuff in it as well. So if you've been running half marathons, but you're scared to go onto a marathon in the mountains, the Rock Ultra is where you're going to come and do your first marathon. And then if you've been running for a while and you're ready to go to the 3 digits, there's no better place to do it in my mind than to come and do 100 Ks here in Paarl Mountain. Like I said, aid stations are reasonably close to each other. We're starting at night, so you're going to be running through the night. what an adventure. I've spent quite a bit of time in Paarl Mountain, and we have viervliegies. Yeah, what's viervliegies in English?
No.
Fireflies.
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. We got fireflies in Paarl Mountain and all these kind of little gems because it's almost part of Paarl, the town, but it doesn't get overrun like a lot of other beautiful places in the Western Cape recently. So it's still nice. I think the night run's going to be a spectacular journey, and we like to keep that in place if circumstances allow. And then one thing I keep on forgetting to mention is, of course, the almost 100-meter long floating bridge across Nantes Dam. So if the heat is scaring you off, don't worry. There's like 100 meters of water that you're going to be crossing over a floating bridge, which is quite the experience, I must admit. You feel a little bit lonely out there in the middle of the dam with like so much water around you, but definitely an experience everyone needs to have.
Yeah, that is quite a unique experience. Is that on all the routes?
All the routes this year. So last year we couldn't get the 22K out there because it's a bit far from the venue that we were at last year. But this year, the 22, the 44, and the 100K will get to cross over Nantes Bridge. We're not using plastic pallets this year, so it'll be a little bit less slippery, but still challenging. It'll be a good place to cool down on a hot day. So a really cool experience. I think photography for photos and videos, I don't think there's many places in the Western Cape that has so much untapped potential like we have. So bring your smartphone, bring your trail techies, and come and have a unique experience with us here in Paarl Mountain.
Yeah, and tell me a little bit about the race village. What can people expect? What's the vibe going to be like?
The race village is on the Berg River Dam in the Arboretum. If you don't know what an arboretum is, it's a fancy word for a tree garden. Paarl's Arboretum is over 60 years old. It's one of the hidden gems that we are hoping to show people of the Western Cape and the bigger area that's here in Paarl. We're going to have the beer tent sitting and looking out over the Berg River, and all our races will be coming down the mountain. You've got a beautiful view of the mountain, and runners will be running through Paarl down to the Berg River Dam, right across from where the beer tent is, and then along the river over the bridge back to the race village. So it'll be a spectacular place to sit, have a cold beer, and watch the runners come in. We've got some lekker local food vendors that are going to be there with shawarmas, and our big focus at the race village will be the youngsters of the Paarl area. Our collaboration with the Anna Foundation and also recently the Cape Winelands Biosphere Reserve will be doing all kinds of cool activities for children. There's going to be a classroom where they'll do all kinds of experiments and demonstrations to teach youngsters about nature and the rivers and the mountains. Lots of activities. There'll be a jumping castle and face painting and lots of cool things for the kids there. And of course, the Anna Foundation's Clippy is a 5K fun run. It is the Paarl Park Run. Normally, we're hijacking the Park Run for this weekend. It's a nice, flat, fast 5K run, more about fun than really about who's going to win it. And we've got more than 60 kids from the rural areas surrounding Paarl coming to run and have fun with us that day. And we hope some Paarl locals to come and get to know the trail community.
Incredible. And, if you think of the vision, what is the vision, the overall vision 10 years, 5 years down the line?
I think that the Rock Ultra can be not completely the Comrades. We don't want 60,000 runners, but it can be a Comrades of trail running. Because the trails are well established, I mean, I hopefully will get to run on Paarl trails, mountain bike trails soon again. Those trails are beautiful and big and well established. We can accommodate a lot of runners in this mountain without causing ecological or any other kind of damage. It's a well-developed area, well settled. The fynbos is beautiful, but the trails are well established and the routes are well established that can handle tons of runners. So we hope it'll grow and be a springboard for local running talent. Paarl's athletic talent is unbelievable. I mean, we've got some really, really good runners in this area. And we sometimes see that some of the talent falls through the cracks because there's no opportunity for them to jump onto the next level. So we hope we can facilitate that through the Rock Ultra and introduce some of our amazing running talent to trail running and help them develop to a level where they can be proud of themselves.
Incredible. And if anyone's running next weekend, any of the distances, what is the advice you're giving them?
Just because it's not super technical and runnable doesn't mean it's easy. If you're gonna start too fast because it feels easy, same advice. Start off nice and easy. Absorb the environment. It's a beautiful environment that whenever I run in Paarl Mountain and I finish, obviously you're feeling tired, but it feels like you've been fed by the environment. It's so rewarding to run there. Take every step, one step at a time, and make sure you get to the finish.
Incredible. And when do entries close for the weekend?
So entries officially closes tomorrow evening, but we're going to keep it open until Sunday evening because of this interview with you, Dean. We'd love to give people a proper opportunity to go and enter. So we'll have entries open until, let's say, Sunday evening. And the next week we'll be preparing and making ready for the big event here in Paarl. If you're not able to run because your legs are still recovering from UTCT, don't worry, we understand. Come and visit anyway. Come and take some pictures. We've got some spectator support points where people can drive out to, and many of them have nice wines and beers available. And of course, the race village will be a vibe. So we'd love to see as many trail runners out here as possible.
Amazing. Well, thank you very much. Very, very excited for next weekend. And it's going to be lots of fun.
Thank you very much, Dean. I also have to just say thank you to All Mountain Co. All Mountain Co. is our presenting partner, and they make this race possible. Wes and Roz McQuillan are the owners of that. He puts unbelievable amount of effort into making these crazy ideas happen, and we're very grateful for that, along with TCS Wi-Fi and all the other amazing people of the community that enables us to present something cool to you next weekend. And we're super excited to having you here, Dean. That's going to be lekker.
I'm very, very excited. I'm very, very excited. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Thanks,
awesome. Man. Well, I'll see you next week.
See you next week, Dean. Thanks for the chat.
Cool. Cheers.
Bye.